Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Councillor Tricia Austin is on her way, but she's held up in roadworks. And having gone through 7 sets to get here myself today, I share her pain. I know, but I had to go to the garden centre to drop my granddaughter off and then get back. Stroop. One of those, anyway. Fire alarm procedures. Fire alarm procedures. If the fire alarm is activated, vacate the offices via the stairs. Please do not use the lifts. Assembly in Hawley Square on the green. Officers will assist you and advise when it's deemed safe to return to the chamber. Would everybody please ensure that their mobile phone is switched to silence and they are not used to make or receive phone calls whilst the meeting is in progress. Please note this meeting is being live streamed for members of the public. The meeting is also recorded and will be subsequently broadcast on the internet. Does anybody intend to film the meeting? No. Well, what a surprise. FF, no, go to H. Officers in attendance, we've got Colin Carmichael, the Chief Executive, Samira Khan, Interim Head of Legal and Monitoring Office, Sarah Flack, Employee Relations Lead, and Nick Hughes, Committee Services Manager, and of course Charles. We haven't any apologies, no. But hopefully Trish will be with us soon. Does anyone have an interest to declare at this meeting? No, we're all completely uninterested. Good. Minutes of the previous meeting. Please, could I have a proposer? Thank you, David and Rick. Thank you. Do we agree? Agreed. Thank you. Minutes of the extraordinary meeting. We did. David and Rick. Well, you see, you're not in my seat of power. Minutes of the extraordinary meeting. To approve minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 10th of July 2023. Copy attached in the agenda pack. Please, could I have a proposer? Thank you, Rick. Seconder. Thank you, David. Do members agree? Agreed. Thank you. Scheme of Officer Delegation, item 5. Nick Hughes, Committee Services Manager and Deputy Monitoring Officer to introduce.
Thank you, Chairman. So, just to introduce the report, as part of the review by the Independent Monitoring Officer, excuse me, it was recommended to review the scheme of delegation to ensure that it's clear and easy to understand, and to also include appropriate conditions requiring engagement of councillors in strategic and high-risk decisions. So this paper represents one strand of the work that we're doing to complete this recommendation. The scheme of delegations for Cabinet and committees was agreed at the annual council meeting in May. As a result of that, all other decision-making powers that were not retained by the Cabinet or exercised by committees were delegated to the Chief Executive as Head of Paid Service. This report demonstrates how the Chief Executive has further delegated those powers down through the organisation, and that's known as the Scheme of Officer Delegations. The Chief Executive has then delegated those powers to the Directors of the Council, and in turn each Director has sub-delegated to their officers, and that's all set out in the annexes. And that allows for the golden thread of delegated power to run from the front-facing officer on the street, all the way back through the Chief Executive to the Leader of the Council. As I said, the 4 elements of the total scheme are outlined in the annexes at 1 to 4 of the agenda, and it's quite important to make clear that the scheme of officer delegations is in the gift of the Chief Executive as the Head of Paid Service. It's not for members to amend, but they can comment on it. And as such, the report is for information only. So once after today's meeting, we shall put the all 4 schemes on the council website to make sure that we are being as transparent as possible. So if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions or comments from people. I'll kick off. Are we going to have names attached to these things? Because reading through this morning, I found it very interesting that, that's where I send that request to. Colin?
Yeah, there's an organisation chart which I thought had been circulated, which...
It's impossible to see on that screen.
Is it? Right,
Yeah,
I need to
you
find a
need
way.
a screen that big to understand it.
If I can remember when I first started here and a bit ago, the most frequent question I had from councillors was, can you tell me who does what?
Yeah.
And there was no organisation chart or list of officers against the post. So we do now have one,
Yep.
which I probably need to do in paper form and send round, and that will tell you at head of service level all of the names of everybody. After the restructure that we carried out in January, Monday marks the final appointment. Our new director of legal will turn up on Monday, and so all of the officers will be in post, and I can circulate that. What I think you're probably asking for is below heads of service. So there'll be some sub heads of service level. So, for example, on coastal and public realm, although we have a head of service, underneath will be the chief engineer, the person managing the port, the person managing open spaces, and you're going to want to know who those people are as well. So I'll get one of those done and have those sent round to you.
Thank you very much. Sarah.
Thank you. So this is to review the annual pay policy statement 23-24. Basically, this is just an update. So we've updated chiefs officers and deputy chief officers within the statement, and also we're looking to reintroduce April pay increment subject to when an employee starts. So this was previously in the policy before Thanet had pay progression. Pay for contribution, sorry. When that was removed, the intention was that it went back into policy. However, that was never confirmed back in policy, and it's been agreed at CMT that that's what we'd like to do. So we're asking, obviously, for that to go back into policy. So the reason we're here today is asking you to adopt the policy subject to a 30-day consultation with officers. We don't envisage any further significant changes from the consultation, and we would like to implement this from December.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought you was writing names down. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just like to ask Sarah, the grades, the pay grades, starts at TGB. Can you tell me what happened to TGA?
Yeah, so with the commitment of Thanet to pay all officers national living wage, that one was eroded due to the increase in the national living wage. And that is something that the council are looking to address as well.
Pedantic, I know this is going to sound, right, but at the end of the reports we have a blank page that says this page is intentionally blank. Well, it doesn't blank because it's got writing on it. But wouldn't it not just to be easier to put at the end of the report, end of report, instead of having a blank page to be left blank? You see what I mean? Pedantic, but, you know, it's the same on any report. It's not just this, it's the same across the council.
Yeah, absolutely.
I suspect this goes back to the days of printed documents where you could have a page number or something.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think, unless I've misunderstood, there's a typo on page 15. So any payments reached under a settlement agreement between the, should it be employer and employee? Annex 1.
On Annex 1, did you say?
Yeah. Payments will constitute special severance payments. That's the first.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Of course you're right.
Yeah, we'll get that revised.
Unions and staff. Do I have a seconder? If it's just for adoption. Yeah, thank you, Steve. Do members agree? Agreed. Thank you. That concludes the business for this meeting. I declare this meeting closed at 15:42. Thank you very much for coming. Where do we get that?